And also, like right after the war was finished, your unit surrendered to the Soviet Union. Could you tell us a little bit about your trip you took back and how you were captured by the Soviets, imprisoned, and how you were able to escape and then return back to German soil?
Yeah, I was in Yugoslavia, and we were fighting the Soviet army. There was the Yugoslavians, that is the Croats and the Serbs, basically. The Serbs, they were the main body of Tito, the communist Tito. And Tito soldiers, we have never fought with them. They never appeared. But they were the Yugoslavian armed forces at that time. And the German High Command and the Soviet High Command made an agreement that we can deliver our arms and go home, which we did, but we couldn't go home. We had to go back, and we were not prisoners of war from the Soviet army, but we were prisoners of war from the partisans, we called them, from the Yugoslavian. And we had to clear woods and rebuild houses and things like that. And all the details I have in my book, Defeating the Totalitarian Lie. And then came the autumn, and I realized that I most likely would not survive the winter. We had get very little food and no clothing, and I decided to escape. And there were 4 others who made the same decision, and 5 of us went out of our camp late in the night and went northeast. That was the direction. We wanted to go to Hungary, from there to Austria, and in Austria was the demarcation line between the Soviet armed forces and the British occupation army, and to cross that border, that was border number 3 or 4, that was then, on the other side, we were in the world of freedom. And already and we walked at night, and then we ran into a patrol, and we heard the shooting, and we realized that our front man, who had the map, had run into a patrol. I was number 2. Everybody rushed into the darkness. We encountered ourselves, and then we went. We had no more map, and then we went for the North Star. And already in the first or second night, we didn't find. We went at night, and in the morning in the morning we went and hid somewhere in a forest or where we found something, and then at night we continued walking. And I was lying in a bush. There was no forest in the bush. Then came a man with a dog, and the dog pulled his boss to where I was, and the others also. And I looked into the face of the man, and looked into the face of the dog, and the man looked at me. He didn't say a word, and then he disappeared. And I thought, now he is going to come back with soldiers. He did not come back, so he wasn't a communist. And so we continued. We had to cross a border. We had to cross 2 borders, rivers. It was very cold. I didn't want to swim through the water. And believe it or not, where we hit the first river, there was a boat underwater which we could easily lift and cross the river. And then we realized that we were still in Yugoslavia, and 2 nights later, we came to the main river. And again, where we hit the river, there was a boat waiting for us, this time tied to a tree, and we could, with that boat, cross the border, and we were in Hungary were our friends, and they gave us, we went to a farm, and we got, for the first time in half a year, we got something decent to eat. And then we continued at nights, and one night, I was alone by that time. I found no house, and very late, when it was already a day, and apparently somebody had watched that. Anyway, there were 2 women in that house. We were still 2. And there were 2 women. They gave us to eat, and then they put us up in the stable to sleep. And we hadn't even laid down when they came rushing back, and they were shouting that the soldiers are coming after us, and I could see them coming in the horizon with a dog who's barking. They're shooting in the air. We ran away into some bushes nearby over a field which was recently plowed, and you could see every step in that underground. And I lost some papers which were lying around on there. So then I saw the soldiers enter the farm. They picked up my cap, which was fallen down when I rushed away, and they were shooting in the air, and then they turned the back on us and went into opposite direction and disappeared. There was absolutely no explanation for how such a thing is possible. I had thought that was now the end of my escape. And we had some more of these. Then at the end I was alone. An Hungarian took me over the border into Austria, and then I came to the border, and I crossed. There was also a miracle. There was a small bridge, which behind the village where there was the frontier, and I was told if I get there early, there is no soldiers, so I have to get there early, and then I can just cross over into the British occupied Austrian zone. And when I was very close to the bridge, there came a Soviet soldier with his arm towards me, with his arms, and I thought now it's in the last 100 meters should I be grabbed back into this slavitude, but then there was a farm to the side with a little path which led to the house. I went in this path. I pretended I knocked the door of this farm, which I did not do, and the soldier didn't even look at me. He disappeared, and I crossed the border, and I was in freedom, and I realized that I had what I set out, I had accomplished. And when I then thought about it, I saw the British soldiers and the Austrian farmers in that village where I had crossed, and it occurred to me that was God who had taken me out of prisonership in Yugoslavia, and if it was he, was my second thought, then he must have a purpose for me. And that is the reason why I'm still here, sitting here and answer your questions, because I do have a purpose, and my purpose is to make the first purpose now is to have America to become a nation under God, not by words, but by acts. And that is what I'm committed to make America what it needs to be, a nation under God. Because America has a mission of freedom for everybody in the world, but you can't have freedom with liars. Freedom is only, lasting freedom is only possible with truth. And therefore, what I said earlier, we need Americans and an American nation, which is a nation under God, stands and fights for truth and brings freedom to the last corner of the earth.